All right, let's get cooking. Welcome to the latest edition of Chin Check Sports Radio. I'm your host, JD. I want to thank you all for taking the time out to join us. And as always, we welcome any suggestions, feedback, comments, and criticisms, which improves the quality of our program, which ultimately improves your listening experience. Dallas Cowboys, 2019, Week 17. Just finished watching the Dallas Cowboys piss away their season. No, I'm not having any background music tonight because I have a lot to say about the Dallas Cowboys, and I know this is the fan in me talking versus just doing a regular broadcast, but there is a lot to say. Dallas Cowboys lose 17-9 against the Philadelphia Eagles. And folks, I said last week that the game against the Los Angeles Rams was fool's gold. The game that really mattered was this week. And recent history told me that the Dallas Cowboys do not play well in elimination games on the road. I said this last week to anybody who was listening to last week's broadcast. And sure enough, it happened again. I'm not even going to bother even reading the statistics this week because 17-9, the so-called number one ranked offense only mustered up 9 points on the road in a win and you're in playoff scenario. Now, they still have an outside chance because they would now have to beat the Washington Redskins next week and hope that the Eagles lose to the New York Giants. So again, from controlling their playoff destiny to now needing help to get into the playoffs should tell you everything that you need to know. And even if by hook or by crook they somehow sneak into the playoffs, folks need to be gone. And I noticed this from the very beginning of the game. The team came out listless, lifeless, lackadaisical, lethargic in the first quarter. And I knew, and of course, as a huge fan, I knew that this is going to be a rough game. Solely because they came out lifeless in the first quarter. You allow the Eagles to march down the field. You do nothing on offense. And I saw it again, and Jason Garrett had that constipated look on his face like he always does, seemingly having no answers and allowing the Eagles, oh, by the way, a beat-up Philadelphia Eagles team who are missing wide receivers, offensive tackles. Zach Ertz got hurt in the first quarter. A clearly banged-up team, Fletcher Cox, a clearly banged-up team. And this is this is the performance at you turn in. Jason Garrett ass should be fired before he even gets back to the locker room. What other evidence do you need that this man is not fit to coach his team? This man has coached his team since 2010, and we've only gotten 2 playoff victories out of it, have not advanced past the divisional round, and it all flushed down a toilet on today. The team looked unprepared. They didn't look ready. That falls on coaching. Now, let me get on Dak Prescott. And I've been saying this the last couple of weeks. Dak Prescott, brother, if you want some money, and again, you know at Chin Check Radio, we are definitely pro-athlete. We definitely want athletes to make all the money that they can. But at the same time, I have to look at it as Dak Prescott, you want that big $30 million contract, you shouldn't get a damn dime. And let me say this right now. The team should look into cutting bait with Dak Prescott, and here's why. At some point, you cannot keep beating all the mediocre teams and playing awful against all the good teams. I mean, what other, again, visual evidence do you need that this seems to be his pattern? Now, even if you want to look past that, you can say matchups, you can say whatever it is you want to say. Dak Prescott, his inaccuracies, and I've always said this, his inaccuracies, history of inaccuracy has always been a serious problem. I have always said this. And today, it couldn't be more evident. I'm talking wide open passes to Amari Cooper, and I'm going to get on Amari Cooper in a little bit too. Wide open passes to Amari Cooper he's missing. He's missing Tavon Austin As he has his guy beat, he overthrows him. Bad passes to Michael Gallup. There was a fourth down play to Randall Cobb where Randall Cobb had to dive for the pass. Again, not putting passes where they need to be. So once again, there is something with Dak Prescott's mechanics. There's something with Dak Prescott's his fundamentals, and it has not improved. And in the biggest, most important game of the year, he looked absolutely awful. I could care less about his shoulder. If you want $30 or $35 million with $100-something million guaranteed, you want Carson Wentz and Jared Goff money, these are the games that you earn your money. I will not pay Dak Prescott a single dime because I didn't see anything this evening that will warrant that type of investment on this guy. I know that's going to be an unpopular thing to say amongst Cowboys fans, but I'm going to flat out say it. Not impressed, and I've been losing my patience with Dak Prescott, but today only affirmed my belief that this guy is not the answer. It's just not there. The inaccuracy, he's just not accurate, and I just don't get it, and it has not improved. And I go back to years ago, I believe the Super Bowl was in Minnesota, and Dak Prescott was on the NFL Network, and him and David Carr had a throwing contest to try to, hit certain targets. And please go back and check YouTube after you listen to Chin Check Radio. Check that video on YouTube when Dak Prescott missed every target that David Carr, or is it David or Derek? David Carr, that he was able to hit easily. He hit the first 4 targets, 1 pass each, and knocked him down, while Dak was clearly off target. And I knew that was a serious problem. While other Cowboys fans laughed about it and said, no, it's not that serious, I knew that was pretty serious. So I'm not paying that guy $30 million. And if he doesn't want to take what the team offers him, he can go to hell and he can walk. It's just that simple. There is no way you invest that kind of money in Dak Prescott. And if that's the case, you take your chance on a free agent quarterback or take your chance drafting a quarterback in the draft this season. But to give this guy $30 million after the putrid performance that I just saw on the field, no, you're not getting that money. And Dak, if you don't like it, you can go to hell. Amari Cooper. He's another one. I would go ahead and bounce. I would bounce Amari Cooper too. And here's why. He looks great on the road. If you look at his stats, he's top 10 in receiving stats, but does nothing on the road. Again, what got my attention was that New England game when you were shut out by Stephon Gilmore. And I know you can make an argument that Stephon Gilmore is probably the best cornerback in the league right now, but as I stated, he is not Deion Sanders. And why is that? Because I believe the very next game or a few weeks after that, DeAndre Hopkins gave Stephon Gilmore the business. So, and again, there is something with this guy playing on the road that he does not get the job done, and I have a serious problem with that. You cannot be a Super Bowl caliber team and not be able to produce on the road, and we have enough empirical evidence that Amari Cooper, I don't care about being injured. You want that kind of money. These are the type of games that you play. And for Amari Cooper to sit there and just sit there on the bench, looking just defeated, bad body language, and this isn't the first time we've seen this with him, I'm about tired of Amari Cooper. I really am, because, again, I look at it as I have seen everything I needed to see. There's an old saying, during crises, during times of trouble, during times of trials and tribulations, your true character and your true nature shines through. And games where they have faced adversity, where their backs have been against the wall, I have Amari Cooper being shut down. I have Amari Cooper standing on sidelines. I have Amari Cooper taking himself out of games. But yet now you're going to come at the end of the season with your hand out. And that is an absolutely no. Kellen Moore needs to go. I don't understand this thing of you barely run Ezekiel Elliott. Yes, teams are going to load up. They're going to load up on the defensive line first. Then how about you switch the plays? Run some pitches. Run some tosses. I don't get it. Even some of the play calling, I question it, because don't keep running into a brick wall when defenders line up. But I think blame also needs to go to the offensive line, because there was one play where it was only 4 guys on the defensive line, and the safety came, he shot the gap, and he made the tackle, and he tried to say, well, the Eagles are loading up the box. And I'm like, no, that's not true. solely because it was only 4 guys. And you mean to tell me an offensive line that has 3 Pro Bowlers, one could have been a Pro Bowler and Lyle Collins, and you mean to tell me that this offensive line has been whipped repeatedly this season? So let me say this again. This offensive line, it has a lot of money tied into it, a bunch of first rounders, a bunch of Pro Bowlers, and I use that in quotes, and these guys are getting whipped on the offensive line. But again, I have a $100 million running back who's only getting who's getting about 20 carries a game. And I'm going to go back to those 1990 Dallas Cowboy teams where you knew what they were doing. You knew they were running the power draw or the lead draw. You knew they were coming with Darryl Johnson. You knew they were coming with Nate Newton and Larry Allen and Eric Williams and all those guys, and you still couldn't stop it. But yet now, years later, this offensive line that has all this money tied up, they can't dominate the line of scrimmage with, and oh, by the way, a banged up Fletcher Cox. So definitely some changes are definitely going to have to be made in Dallas. Let's go to the defensive side because y'all get in business too. I'm looking at a defense, and I've been saying this from the very beginning of the season, even when they were winning ball games. I was hardly seeing any pass rush. I was seeing missed tackles. The best game that they tackled was versus the Rams. And I'm hardly looking at any pass rush. Today, I got 0 sacks. Now, mind you, I have a player who's the highest paid player in team history. There's the stats on the TV. Ezekiel Elliott, 13 rushes for 47 yards. Let me say this again. Ezekiel Elliott, 13 rushes for 47 yards. Now, going back to the defense, I have a player who's the highest paid player in team history, and I got maybe one quarterback hurry. That's it. Maybe a few tackles. That's it. I got Robert Quinn. So now we're wondering why a bunch of teams got rid of Robert Quinn. We're looking at Michael Bennett, why he's been with so many teams. So at some point, the defense has not gotten the job done this season. That either falls on Rod Marinelli, who's supposed to be a great motivator, or Chris Richard, who everybody's talking about he should be the next head coach. I don't believe that. If you want to be a head coach, these are the type of games that your defense is supposed to dominate when you are playing a clearly depleted Philadelphia Eagles team. So to say that this was an awful day, a very awful day, and the Dallas Cowboys should get every piece of criticism. They should get every piece of vitriol. They should get every piece of condemnation because they have rightfully deserved every word of it. And that what I saw on the TV today is a team who had Super Bowl aspirations, and this is what they do. So even if they beat a Redskins team who their quarterback was carted off the field and Dwayne Haskins, they will finish up 8-8 after having Super Bowl expectations. And you mean to tell me you're going to bring back the same team with a quarterback who you've invested almost $40 million in, a wide receiver who's almost wants to make $20 million? No, we're not giving you that money. This is what we're going to offer you. And if you don't take the money, you can go to hell. At some point, make a hard decision. That's why the Patriots, despite videotaping controversies, I like how they do business. Either you're producing a field or you're not, and we're not overpaying you. Either you're taking what we offer you or you can get the hell out of town. So this definitely, as I finished watching the game, I actually started recording before they even took the final snap because I already have seen everything that I needed to see. So this is possibly the death nail on the Dallas Cowboys season. I personally think it is. Jason Garrett should be fired by now, and a couple of guys need to start making plans to playing with other teams in the future. So this is Chin Check Radio signing off. Go ahead and check us out on Twitter, and until the next time.